What is up, NHL fans? Happy Wednesday. Strap in because we got one hell of a fucking show this morning. Alongside Colby Cohen, I'm Jonny Lazarus. This is Morning Cup of Hockey brought to you by Betway. If you're going to place a bet on Betway. Please play responsibly, and you must be 19 years of age or older. We have so much to get into. Yesterday was a day where the hockey community was galvanized by one single tweet in regard to Zach Hyman scoring 50 goals. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into all the madness that happened around the 12 games in the NHL last night. And then we're going to welcome on former NHL player Bobby Ryan. Very excited to talk to him, a really funny guy, and I'm sure he'll have a lot of insight in regard to the current NHL and today and some stories from his playing days. But there is something different about today's show, and let me tell you why. There is one team with an X next to it, and that team is the New York Rangers, who clinched a playoff spot last night. Currently the number one team in the NHL. But before I go on bragging and talking about Alexis Lafreniere and how well he's played and his 2 goals last night, I'm going to kick it over to my friend, Colby Cohen. Colby, how's your morning going?
Eventful, as was yesterday. I think you made a comment that I think is correct. Yesterday, the hockey world came together and all agreed on something. And
never seen anything like it in my life.
I'd say I'm not going to go there, actually. I have seen it one other time, but I'm not going to drag her into it. No need to give somebody a stray like that. But I think we're all aware, and everybody saw the video yesterday that loser from Montreal tweeted on his social media, Andrew Berkshire, or whatever his name is, about Zach Hyman and about how he only scored 50 goals and made it to the NHL because he's a privileged kid whose dad has money and he was able to afford certain levels of training that other players weren't, and we shouldn't be treating him as this underdog. And then last night, Johnny let me know that he went on again. He posted another video where he drafts 8 more minutes, doubled down. Wow. I mean, I'm not really sure where to start with this loser. Clearly, he's going through a difficult time. I heard that he got fired from some sort of show that he was on. I thought about, retweeting his video and having something to say yesterday. I didn't do that because I didn't really want to give his video air.
You told me not to say anything after I said something.
I did comment under Carlo Koliakovo's Twitter about, clearly this guy reeks of someone who got picked last in gym class and has an axe to grind. But then you start looking at his social media. People are sending me tweets. Someone let me know about his tweets on October 7th, October 8th. And it became abundantly clear to me that there are 2 50-goal scorers in the NHL right now. And he only, are we up to 3? Because Pasta got there last night. Matthews has been there. Matthews is going for 70.
All right, yeah, he's 70. Right.
So why is Zach Hyman the only guy who got called out when he scored his 50th goal? Okay, where are the other videos for all the other players? And I think we know why. When you look at this guy's social media, he's got a problem with Zach Hyman because he's Jewish. He's got a problem with the geopolitical affairs surrounding that. You look at the negativity in that video, and I think it's painfully obvious that it's completely and totally anti-Semitic. And you just look at someone like that, and you almost have to feel sorry for someone who would be such a loser and such a jealous loser in the hockey media business to be tweeting a video like that. This guy, I mean, look, I don't know anything about him. I'd never heard of him until yesterday, but it's clear that, the jealousy is just seeping through his pores. Zach Hyman is a noted great human being, does a ton in the community, does a ton of charity work. Okay. He's going to go home to his mansion. Okay. To his beautiful family, extended, parents, whatever, in their nice, happy life. And he's going to continue to score goals and play in the NHL. And this guy, Andrew Berkshire, probably can't really get work would be my guess in the hockey industry. And you could see how desperate he is for attention on social media by putting a video like that out. So it's just funny to me how, you're going to go on video and you're going to blast this guy, and you're not even going to truly say how you feel. Like, have the balls to at least say what your real purpose of this is and why you're doing it. So, this guy is clearly total clown, total nonsense. I had other people from Montreal media reaching out, just lambasting things that this guy has done, things that this guy has said. And so, look, there's just, the same people who are worried about, the tape on guys' sticks and this and pride jerseys and that, they want to go attack Jews and Zach Hyman for scoring 51 goals and saying he was born on third base. I love seeing how the hockey community rallied around it. Ryan Whitney, Colavacchio, Bobby Ryan, who we're going to have on the show, fans high and low, coming. I got so many messages from people on social media yesterday supporting and being, go at this guy harder, blah, blah, blah. So,
but even when Hyman scored the overtime winner, everyone was like, hard work and dedication. Like, even Elliott, everyone.
Well,
everyone in the hockey
Jewish.
World.
He's and
no,
so
but I'm saying it reached.
I get it, but
so
it's
many
more
people.
personal. It's more personal, when you are Jewish. It is. It's more personal. But it was great to see the hockey world, just come together on this one. And then Sarah Civian, the former Athletic, couldn't keep her job at the Athletic because she doesn't know anything about hockey. Clearly, I think anybody who looks at her social media knows that she has no idea about hockey. All she cares about, another one, is what tape is on the guy's sticks in warm up, because that's the only thing she knows how to pick out and talk about. Wonder why. Another one, she has been tweeting about me all season. Okay. Everything I do on our show, she's got something to say about it. Never has the courage to tag me in it, ever. Always kind of talks about me without using my name. So she clearly, I don't know. She must monitor my social media. Fine. Last night, she finally quote tweeted me in my response to Andrew Berkshire, and where I said, I don't know why we keep retweeting this video. This guy is a broke loser, clearly looking for attention, clearly jealous. We all know why he picked Zach Hyman. And then Sarah Civian quote tweets me and says that I'm making it political and something that it's not. Well, I completely disagree with you, Sarah. I don't know what catnip that you've been huffing while you snuggle with all your cats at home, because clearly you have no fucking clue what you're talking about either, which is why you barely work in hockey now. I mean, come on. I think we can all see that. So it's just hysterical to me to see these people. The only person on the internet that stuck up for Andrew Berkshire was Sarah Civian. I mean, I guess you shouldn't really be surprised when you look at her timeline either. But, I got to tell you, it's comical to see these writers that I generally have a problem with, take this angle. That's not true. The other person that I saw, do a little heart to Sarah Civian's tweet was Saad Youssef. Oh, shocker there. She has a problem with me talking about, sticking up for Zach Hyman. And that's the person that chimes in, that does the hearts with her. Draw your own conclusions, okay? I don't think I need to say it. We've got enough smart people that watch this show and can put two and two together here. So, interesting day and night when talking about hockey last night. A lot of great games, but I got to tell you, this Zach Hyman thing ain't going away anytime soon. And I thought there was some funny shit going around the internet last night in support of Zach Hyman. So yeah, this was the comments right now. I'm seeing your comments in the chat. I did not drink Red Bull at 5 a.m., Big E. I promise you that. But I did wake up this morning and text Johnny a picture and a popcorn emoji. And I said, get it ready, because I got a lot to say this morning. Okay. I got a lot to say this morning, and we will get to hockey. We will talk about hockey. I'm fired up right now. I'm going to defend Zach Hyman every day for the rest of his career because he's a good human being, okay? And he's a good hockey player. He's a 5th-round pick that just scored his 51st goal at 31 years old, okay? At 31 years old. I guess his dad must have bought him all 51 of those goals, right? I mean, give me a fucking break. Okay, so you're a huge loser, Andrew Berkshire, and Sarah Civian, you're also a huge loser. And I guarantee you, you have very few friends. And I know you're lonely with your cats. I get it. Okay, I understand that. So have fun being a keyboard warrior because that's all you got, and that's all you got left. And that's all I have to say on the matter, Johnny.
I don't think I've ever heard someone talk that long without taking a single breath. And yeah, take your sip of water. Happy you let it all out. Can I give my piece here for a second, or I'm not going to talk for 10 minutes like you did, but I'd like to share my opinion on it as well, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Kobe doesn't like when I speak too much, so I'm just gonna give a quick little synopsis here. But I was the first one to see the video within our little group, and when I first saw it, it pissed me off. I think it's not only a knock on Hyman, maybe a knock on Jews as well, but it's also a knock on hockey parents to me. Whether you call whatever you want to say about Zach Hyman's upbringing, I think anyone who's played the game of hockey, whether you played when you're 7 years old or whether you played
Just
in the NHL.
I'm listening. I just want to take off my sweatshirt.
Yeah, do your thing. You look sweaty. But back to my point, whether you've played hockey at 7 years old, you've played hockey in the NHL, I think the biggest thing here to remember is that hockey parents have sacrificed so much time, so much money, and so much energy to get their kids to not only just play the game, but to get to the level that Zach Hyman's at. And, I think about my parents when I saw this video. Sure, I didn't make the NHL, but, my parents worked multiple jobs to just give me the opportunity to step foot on the ice. My dad drove me across the country. And while I didn't make it, there's no resentment in that. I think it's something very special that hockey parents have with their kids. And for Zach Hyman to accomplish this at 31 years old, and maybe he's not the underdog story as a human being, but he's an underdog story for fucking sure as a hockey player, because he wasn't given anything once he made it to the NHL. He earned everything that he got to this point. So to score 51 goals for Zach Hyman, the way he did it, going to the dirty areas, doing the things that not every hockey player wants to do, I think is such a big credit to him. And that's why I think him scoring 51 goals should be celebrated and not be bashed. And I think anytime a hockey player has an accomplishment, whether they're drafted, whether they score their first goal, whether they play their first NHL game, the first thing they say is, I want to thank my parents and I want to thank my friends and family that helped me get here. And,
all right,
I'm just saying, anyone who's played the game knows they couldn't do it without their parents. It's not just Hyman, it's everyone. So I want to just give hockey parents their credit, because holy fuck, man, like, it's a different sport. It's a lot of time and money, and none of us would be here without our parents, I think. So
let's bring Bobby Ryan in. Let's bring him in. We don't want to keep him waiting. Bobby, we appreciate you doing the show. I don't know if you caught any of the early part of the show, but it's great to have you on. And I just want to say this before Johnny goes ahead and starts his thing here. It's so we've never met before.
Yeah,
you're a Cherry Hill guy, right?
Yeah.
People are always just assume, they're like, yeah, Bobby Ryan, right? Like, I grew up in Villanova, kind of right down the road from you.
Okay, I knew you were in the area.
Yeah, like 30, 40 minutes away. And I just remember my first ever Bobby Ryan moment was when I was playing at
Are you fanboying right now?
In Ann Arbor, and we came to a Plymouth Whalers game. Ryan Hayes and I came to a Plymouth Whaler game, and you were playing for Owen Sound. And if I remember this correctly, you had like 6 goals that game in Plymouth, and we're just like, holy shit, who is this guy? He's fucking legit. So that's my first ever introduction to Bobby Ryan. So Johnny, I'll let you take it away. But
that makes me feel old. but
well, no, Bobby, I'm happy you're here. I've been looking forward to this for a while, but something that we got to do, which we always do on the show every day, is our Tim Hortons tweet of the night. And you have the honor on today's show. So let me just do our quick read. Tim Hortons tweet of the night: roll up to win is back for Tim's 60th anniversary. Celebrate our big year with some big prizes: an all-electric Volkswagen ID4, sun-soaked Hilton getaways, and cash with a daily jackpot of $10,000 available only on the Tim's app. Bobby, you tweeted last night about this whole Zach Hyman dilemma, and I was fucking cracking up. I'll read it out loud. You said, I coached 5-year-olds tonight, buried them in toxic negativity, kicked the rich ones right off, may have ruined a few careers out there tonight. Not on my watch. Am I right? At Andrew Berkshire. So, I mean, good humor. You know, I think the biggest thing from this whole thing has been all the funny tweets and all the funny jokes that have been made of this. But your initial thoughts, because you actually, you know, had a really deep initial reaction to this whole thing.
I did. Well, you know what? I went down the line. I had I was coaching with Jordan French, Ryan Ellis, actually, who's retired, I guess, in some sense now. His little guy's out there and he skates, and we have a really cool hockey community here in Southern Nashville. So I went right down the line. I said, "What does your dad do?" And he's like, "He's a doctor." I
Oh,
said,
you actually did that?
Get out. I got no.
No. What do you?
He's like, my dad's a plumber. I was like, you can stay. So anyway, yeah, man, I saw our producer for my show actually was the first reason. Like, that guy never pops up. That guy's useless, Berkshire, whatever he is. So he never pops up on my timeline. But our producer had kind of defended Hyman. He's an Edmonton guy, our producer. So the reason I saw the whole thing becoming a thing was this, and it was going to take off anyway, but it popped up on mine, and I didn't even watch the whole thing. I watched a little bit of it, and I was like, all right, I've enough Twitter for one day, right? Like, that's kind of how my day goes. I see something like that, I'm like, turn it off for the day. But I felt like I had to defend it a little bit. I mean, look, hockey's a sport that is played by middle class, upper class people. It costs money, ice time. Right, I get it. But to take something away from somebody because their parents or financially set off, just to me is asinine, because it doesn't take away. And he did defend himself and saying, I'm not taking away the fact that he's a hard player, but the story, and I understand where he's saying the story about him just being a hard worker and getting through everything through hard work is false. And I'm like, but it isn't. It isn't. He still did the work. He still showed up and put the time in. He still had a hard route. He wasn't a touted player, right? He went through 4 years of college. He grinded. So I'm somebody that lived on probably both sides of that, upper middle class to extreme low class. And, I've seen rich kids come up and not do the work. And I've seen young kids come up and actually just grind their way. So I felt like I had to say something because it was so stupid and so out there that, he's kind of one of those guys. He just does shit for clicks, and I hate that. I think that stuff's useless. So I gave it to him a little bit.
What you said was great. I mean, there are a number of former players that had awesome things to say. And it's funny, like I've said to Johnny before, like, we shouldn't focus so much on getting guys who are still playing to come on our show. We got to get guys who are retired, because guys who are retired aren't afraid to really say, what's on their mind. And listen, this whole thing is wrapped in a much bigger, uglier issue. And it's really not hockey related, which is the sad part about it. And like you said, this guy's looking for notoriety and clicks. He got fired from his last thing. They won't put him on any shows anymore because things that he said. So it's that shit doesn't belong in hockey whatsoever. We talk about wanting to make hockey inclusive, and the same people that want hockey to be inclusive on Pride Night want to vilify Zach Hyman for having wealthy parents, because of his religion and his last name. So and what he might support. And listen, I have a very strong opinion about it. My last name's Cohen. It's pretty obvious. But I don't listen. If you don't want to have the same opinion with me, that's totally fine. Like, you get to have your opinion. I'm going to have my opinion. But at the end of the day, like, we shouldn't be vilifying someone for that type of reason. I mean, right. I mean, I know Kevin Shattenkirk grew up there, and look at the career he's had, right? Is that because of his parents? I mean, is that because how many square feet my house was when I grew up? Because it was a lot. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm very fortunate, but it's because my dad worked hard. So
that's if anything, we should be telling Zach Hyman's parents congratulations for giving him all the reasons to succeed. But it is funny you mentioned one thing, talking about you can judge a good tweet sometimes as a player that played a long time by how much your phone goes off from players still in and players out. And my phone went fucking nuts. And it was just players saying, thank you. That guy's an asshole. Like, what a tweet. All these different things. And I had put my phone down after I said that, went into an appointment and came out. And I think I had like 30 something texts. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But it was just player after player. And it is funny you mentioned guys that are retired versus guys that are still playing. You have to tread lightly when you're playing. I understand that. And that's the best part about being done is I don't work for anybody. I don't give a fuck.
I feel that way too.
I took a beating for saying the Rangers were pretenders earlier in the year.
That was my next question.
Yeah. And if anything, and then like it was Ranger fans just popping up. And I was like, somebody said, you're just doing this for clicks for your show. And I was like, I don't care.
You had no dog in the fight.
No horse in the race. Somebody asked me a question and that wasn't even my show. And I did, and I answered it the way I thought I should answer it. It's just you ask me a question at this stage of my life, I'm going to tell you what I think.
So, Bobby, I learned that every week on our show is whatever. If I don't say the perfect thing about every team every week, I hate that team or I hate that player. I hate that fan base, and the anger just pours through. And I'm with you, man. I'm at a point where I don't work for a team anymore. I did that for 5 years after the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's awesome not working for a team because you can just say what you want.
Yeah. I mean, I get some vitriol from Sens fans from time to time. It could because they cover them exclusively, right? And I tell people what I think the state of the team is and what I think the state of a player is. And I'm always going to side with the player. And I'm always going to defend the player as long as I possibly can because I want them to succeed. But at the same time, it's been a disaster and a sale of a year. What do you want me to say continuously? So if there is a team that I would root for, it would be Ottawa. That's where my heart is and the bulk of my career was. So I just kind of, you have to tell it like it is. If you want to do things like this and enjoy being in the media side of things, I guess you're not going to get anywhere by not being honest. I could fluff the guys up all year long, but the fact is that they're in last place or second or whatever. It's like,
well, Johnny,
sorry.
Johnny, that's where you and I differ. I've been fluffing them all year.
Johnny, continue every time they score a goal, Bobby. Johnny texts us, the Sens are back, and he put on Twitter earlier this year. Yeah. What was it? I'll bet my life
they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Tough one. I had them in. I just and now they can't even tank right because now they're winning. So fucking guys, man. I don't know what to do with them.
Right.
Nope.
But Bobby, like I want to rewind a lot here because Colby and I were talking about it a little bit before you hopped on, and you were drafted second overall after Sidney Crosby. I actually didn't even know that until I was doing research to interview you, to be honest. I'm a bit of a younger guy, but
now you really feel old, Bobby.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's so interesting too because coming from the Rangers' perspective of things, we've looked at guys like Lafreniere and Kakko and how they entered the league right away after being drafted. You were picked second overall, and you didn't enter the league right away. You were picked to a contending Anaheim Ducks team. I've heard you mention it before that at the time the fourth line had Getzlaf and Perry on it, and there wasn't really a spot for you. And we think about, players' development today, like Colby and I all the time on the show, we talk about Macklin Celebrini. And he's a guy, for example, who's a very young kid, can step in the NHL right now and be effective.
17.
But, to your experience, you took the extra time to develop in junior and stepped into the NHL right away and basically were a comfortable NHL player. Your development path is different than we see most top overall picks today. I wanted to hear about your experience, and if you could have done things differently, maybe would you have, or are you happy with the way that the development went for you?
I think it went the way it needed to for me. I think there's players and like Lafreniere, right? Here's a perfect example of a guy that's did everything you could possibly do at the junior level. And you get drafted first overall and you're expected to come in and put up 80 points and carry a franchise. And I think that's unrealistic. I think there are players, and when I look at players that I think that go first overall that should be in right away, I'm talking about Crosby. I'm talking about Ovi and Bedard, yes, and some, and there are outlying players, right?
Yeah, there are the exceptions to the rule.
Matthews, McKinnon, right? Like those are guys that, yes. Lafreniere to me was too small to be going into the league at 18. He needed time, and this is the problem with junior hockey is these guys don't get a chance to go play in the A. They have to go back to juniors. And what are you going to send him back to juniors to do? That's unfortunate for him. Macklin Celebrini, because he played in college, could go to the A next year. That to me is unfair. I think that players that are 18 years old, unless you're one of the players I named and an outlier, need to develop, need to play more. Lafreniere would have done wonders for him to go to the A to play against men in a stress-free environment, put points up, be the man at a lower level, and then move in. Now he's what, 22, 21?
22. Yeah.
And now he's becoming the player that people had envisioned him to be. It just took him some time. And I think that that's the process, is that players need to mature. 18 years old, going to play in New York for the New York Rangers at first, like that's a monumental task. And Bedard's handling it well, but other players just need to kind of get comfortable and get their bearings. So, but it's a salary cap era. You need players making $2 million. And that's what those young guys are on their cap hits, right? So I understand it. And I understand the rush to bring them in, because nowadays, like when I started, I had no chance. Like there was no chance I was making that team for the first 2 years. And I understood that. I also needed to mature a little bit. I was a different guy. I needed to like lose weight, learn how to become a pro, learn how to train, eat, sleep like a pro. And that's what those 2 years allowed me to do before I kind of stepped in at 20. And then even that was up and down a little bit until I found my bearings. So it just depends on the player. And I know it's kind of a roundabout answer, but it just depends on the player. And I don't think many players are ready to step in at 18 years old. I just think there's still few and far between.
And you see it year after year. And it's funny, like I've said that I think that unless something happens here with the CHL and the NCAA, where these guys can go play in the NCAA at 18, but then that will totally upend the CBA because of the rules on rights and how long, a college player's rights are X amount of time, a junior player's rights are X. It's all different. So they're all going to need to get around the table and figure it out. To me, an easy, quick fix would be the every NHL team gets one or two exceptions, Bobby. And like a guy like who's a high overall pick, who's not Kevin Korchinski is a good example, in my opinion, in Chicago, like right now, right? Yeah. He was 7th overall 2 years ago, tore up the dub, like can't go back to the WHL and get better. Okay. Right. It's going to just give him bad habits, but isn't ready for the NHL. And he would do wonders for his career to be playing in Rockford this year, wonders for his career. And he's forced into the NHL, and his game is coming. And you can see the talent. Like, I think he's going to be a player. The talent is, and their defensive coach, Kevin Dean, really thinks that this kid has a high ceiling, but says, like, I think they all feel like it would be great if he could be an exception. Give every team one exception. And it almost like, it seems like it makes too much sense to me, Bobby, other than from the CHL's perspective, where they don't want that. They either want them to be stars in their league or, in the NHL. But like, why can't they get together and get on the same page?
Because nobody wants to balk first, is my guess. And I think I love the idea. I'm like, where do you draw the line? And I think if you look at it, if you're a first round pick, I think you should get to make that move to the next level. And if you draw it there and the player that's 31st overall has to go back, then I get his argument, right? Like I'm one pick away. So it's just, nobody wants to balk first. And I get it. Like the CHL is like, no, we have these guys, they go on, they get picked. We want them back. Like that's development money for the programs, right? So it's like, if we're using him as an example, Chicago should have to here's our exception. Here's the guy that we're talking about in Korchinski. We'll pay you $500,000. And the CHL teams will go, sure. Like, okay, thanks. We'll tell you, we're going to pay you $500,000 to have him in the American Hockey League this year. And it's still a wash for everybody, right? You're not paying his full salary. You're paying an MAHL level. So you're saving money, but you're burning a year. I think it would work for everybody, but I don't ever see it happening. I'd be very surprised.
Bobby,
if they can move to college, but I had a GM that I played for one time had mentioned to me, said, you were going to go to Michigan. I said, yeah, I was kind of verbally committed. It was a plan. He said, I'm glad you didn't. Players that I draft high go to college hockey and get worse. And I asked why, and
Really?
he said, because it's a weekend schedule. You guys work, you go to school, and then you play Friday, Saturday. You guys go out and party probably Saturday, a little bit Sunday, and then you go back to the grind Monday through Friday. He said it's just not conducive to what the next level looks like. So
But
I
then
was
how come?
kind of interested by that.
But so then I guess, and look, I'm biased. I played college
Yeah,
hockey.
We're both
and
college guys.
had a great college experience, but I do recognize that a lot of high-end players for a long time have gone through the CHL. I think you're seeing a little bit of a shift of that with like Owen Power and Macklin Celebrini and Adam Fantilli. But I guess my reply to that GM would be, but we always hear about how practice time is so important and training is so important. Well, you get that opportunity in college. You get practice time. You get training time. I wonder if the NCAA could go to like a 45 to 50 game schedule, if that would, because I do think they could play more games. I think you throw in a midweek game, you have them play on Tuesday or Wednesday and then Friday and Sunday or something like that. I think that would do wonders for these guys, but I don't like how in the American League, you play 76 games, you eat shit food after games. You get, they put the menu from the pizza place in the locker room. You write your number and I'll take a cheesesteak or I'll take a small pizza.
Chicken parm sub.
And Bobby, how is a 3-3 good for development? I played 3-3 every weekend for 4 years in Providence. How's that good for my development?
That's not great. That's not great. They actually sat me down for some of the 3-3s the year that I was going up and down a lot. They were like, we're just going to sit you down because you're probably going back up at some point. And it was maybe once or twice, but 3-3s, I don't agree with. I think that's too much at the pro level. I think it's too much at the college or junior level, to be honest with you too. But it would be nice to see the NCAA expand because they certainly have the infrastructure and the money to do it. And that would heavily tilt my opinion if they did. I just don't think it's enough games. I think practice reps are great. Training time is great. But for me as a player, and I'm just thinking back, the 68 game schedule in juniors was so good for me. It got you into a rhythm of learning how to practice for a day or two, switch back to game mode, practice for a day or two. It's just that felt better for me, but I'm not knocking it. I think it's great. Like the guys that come out of college hockey as opposed to junior hockey are infinitely in better shape. Always. They crush fitness testing comparatively.
No, it's hard to argue anything you just said. I mean, it's fair. It's totally fair.
Yeah, I think it could go either way. It really could.
Something specific I'm curious to hear your perspective on. You're with the Ducks. You're kind of on the back end with Scotty Niedermayer in his career, one of the best skating defensemen. Then you go to Ottawa and you're with Erik Karlsson in his prime. Now you look at defensemen in the NHL, and it's just a whole different level of their ability to skate. And Colby was a defenseman. I was a forward. But, I mean, if you're a forward in the National Hockey League right now, like, to me, it seems like it's so much harder to like cover a point or burn a guy wide than it's ever been. And I'm just curious to hear like what it was like for you going with a legend like Scotty Niedermayer to, a prime Erik Karlsson, and then the defensemen you see in today's NHL, like the Makars, Hugheses, and all of them.
It's so funny when you look at it to think about like Scotty Niedermayer is arguably the best of all time back there with just the pedigree, like the amount of cups on the mantle and things like that. That guy was ridiculous. And I played with him and Pronger at the same time.
Oh, Pronger too, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Which was incredible. And then you're playing against Lidstrom and Rafalski in the playoffs and Brent Burns and
Solani too, right? With you guys up front?
I played with Demo for 5 years. Yeah. Give or maybe 6. I don't even know.
You caught all the legends. You caught them all.
That locker room my first year, like Todd, all the guys you named, Todd Bertuzzi, Doug Waite, like just some, and then Getzlaff and Perry are, kind of coming up, and Saku Koivu. It was incredible.
Did you get a word in the locker room, or were you just quiet like a little rookie?
Well, see, it was different back then. You were quiet. I was scoring 30, but I was quiet for 3 years. It was just like, who do you like? You're just quiet.
Who did you hang with on that team?
What's that?
Like, who did you hang with on that team? Because it's such an
older
team.
Yeah, they were good. It was the oldest team in the league, give or take, and they had won. Like Matthew Schneider was there on his tail end, so that was another older guy. I kind of hung. Honestly, I was in and out of the hotel so much that first year that I was kind of by myself. There would sometimes be another call up that I would hang with, and like Getz and Pears and those guys were down in Newport Beach, so I'd hang with them when I went down that way. But it was kind of a lonely year, honestly. Like you're just trying to cut your teeth and go to the rink and go home and be seen and not heard. But again, all those guys were great to me. But when you talk about those defensemen that we mentioned, like Niedermayer is one level, and all three that you mentioned they're so different. Niedermayer would be up the ice and standing next to you, and then 2 seconds later, you're like, how the hell is he back there defending the rush? And he never got tired. So he was a different player. He wasn't as offensively gifted as Carlson was, who was probably the first to come out that was a smaller defenseman that skated. But if you watch Carl, he wasn't a great, and still isn't, laterally. Like his lateral, when he beats guys, he beats them north-south with his feet and then east to west with his stick, and the way he kind of looks you off. Whereas Makar is way more shifty. So the game kind of changed. You used to go out and you were to defend these guys. You went out, and Colby, I mean, you can relate. You went out, you hit them, you went back to the line, and then you went out, you hit them, and you just didn't let them get by you. Now they're so shifty that I see guys run out, and I'm like, oh boy, like oh boy, because I mean, Makar can beat you 4 different ways. Same with both the Hughes defensemen, the brothers, and a couple others. So I would almost just give them a little bit of time and space up there. Make them just move the puck, right? Because when you go out to them, you're making them move the puck, and then they're jumping by you. You can't get bodies on them like you used to. So it's just it's like when I'm looking at ways to defend these guys, I'm like, just leave them out there. Make them take one-timers. Make them, like, the more you force them or force them down the wall, but the more you force them, the more they're going to burn you. And we've seen a shift in the last 5 years, and Makar was kind of the start of it. It's just absolutely incredible what these guys can do, and the confidence that they have. Like Shabbat's another one. Like, you can go right at Shabbat. He has no care in the world. He'll make a move with it. Like, he loves it. I'm like, I feel like I'm going out there like this sometimes towards the end of my career, and I was like, just beat me with some way. Go ahead.
And I didn't have nearly the feet that any of these other that you're talking about, but as a defenseman, I much prefer a guy come hard at me at the point, because if someone's coming straight at you, there's always room to make a guy miss. And when a guy comes in a more controlled manner with a good stick that's willing to block a shot or kind of angle you or take lanes, like, much harder to make plays around that than sort of the coming straight at you at the point. One thing I just wanted to bring up, one of our listeners and Jeremiah Maxwell, he's on every show. He's always in the chat. Bobby, he's asking about when you had that goal in Anaheim with someone else's stick.
Legendary.
And I kind of vaguely remember that. I also feel like, did you use the green synergy at one point?
No, I was never an Easton guy. Not in the NHL. Yeah.
So when you took the other guy's stick, I remember this, or
it was a lefty, right? On the backhand.
Remind us the story if you don't mind.
It was a weird play. The puck went into the corner from the front, and I had my stick in my hands at that point. And you can actually see me. Somebody sent me the video the other day, and I watched it because it's been a while. And my fiance is from the South, so no clue about hockey. So sometimes I'll show her something that comes across, and she's like, "What just happened?" I remember I was going towards the corner, and you can see me on the video. Koivu rips my stick out of my hand because he had none. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now he's playing with a right-handed stick, and I'm going into the corner, and we're just kind of we're battling around. You can see Perry's like, "Go get a stick," yelling at me, and I'm like, I'm pushing guys. I don't know what to do. Corey's pushing guys back into me, and I'm like, it was a mess. And the puck kind of it went around the wall. I can't remember what it did, and I had no clue where to go or what to do. I turned around, and Mikko Koivu's stick was sitting on the ice. So I was like, well, he's got mine. I'll just take his, finish the shift, we'll exchange kind of thing. But I picked his up. Tony Ludman, never forget him, one of my favorite Finns ever, shot the puck from the point. And I was just Johnny on the spot. The puck couldn't have come off the pads any better to me for a one-timer. But again, I'm holding a left-handed stick, right-handed. And Miku's curve was like a banana hook. So I had about this much window on that stick to like one time the puck back to the net, and it was a wide open cage. So kind of one of my cockier celebrations. I held it up right into him, and I wasn't doing it to be cocky. I was doing it to be like, Getsy, look what I just did. Because you could see Getsy laugh when I show it to him. But
he's like a proud dad.
Yeah, I was a queen. yeah.
I think we have, Bobby, I think we have the video.
Okay, let's see it then. Yeah,
good work,
look at me here. I'm like, what the hell? Like, no stick.
Look at the arms come out. Like,
Yeah.
Just
Like,
snags
hey,
it. Yeah.
somebody. So I'm like, Corey, get in here. It's 1-on-3 and I'm without a twig. So yeah, I'm just pushing guys, just trying to. And like,
wait.
so this guy, the assist goes to the wild guy on the point. He pushes the stick down low so I can go get it. And I just stand up and pick something up. I'm like, all right, I'll finish the shift like this, I guess. And then like, yeah.
Unreal.
Oh God, that's
Yeah.
so good. What a good little subtle moment.
It was yeah, and then they tried to dispute the goal, so we stood there for a few minutes while they were like, no, it doesn't count, and blah blah. And I was like, oh, dude, I still don't have my stick at this point, and I had to go get a spare at the bench because Koivu wouldn't give mine back.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it, I want that stick. Like, give me the one I just scored with, I'll keep that one. And we eventually exchanged back, and then years later at an autograph celebration or a ceremony type thing, guy came up to me with the original stick, the Koivu stick, and I offered him a lot of money for it, and he said, no, it's going on my wall. So I signed it, and a fan has it somewhere.
That's nice, though. I think they'll appreciate that, obviously. I wish you could have kept it, though, for sure.
It would have been cool. I didn't keep anything throughout my career. I wish I had. Right? Like, I never collected anything. I have like 2 jerseys on the wall, and that's about it. Yeah. I don't even have my draft jersey here. I don't know what that is. Or I know where it is, but it's not up or anything like that. I gotta get better.
I'm curious, over the course of your career, you played 14 years in the NHL, long career, 3 different teams. I know the Detroit stint wasn't the longest, but I'm sure you get asked about that dangle you had in the playoffs. I'm sure you get asked about your cup run with Ottawa, but is there something that stands out to you that you don't really get asked about a lot in your career? Because I feel like those are the flashier moments, but you also had, maybe a lot of not as viral moments throughout your career that might get overlooked by some of those goals and highlights that you've had. Yeah,
I guess. I mean, towards the not even the latter and the later half, the injury bug with the hands was just brutal. And then the arm, and I just and I was fortunate enough to be able to walk away knowing that I could have still done it when I had gone back to camp and maybe had some offers to play that summer. Leading into the PTO with Detroit, I kind of looked at where the league was and where I was, and I was like, I know I could still do it, but it's probably, and like, if you're thinking about the fact that it's time to walk away, it's probably time. Mm-hmm. So I was really ready for the next step, and that was being home more. But what I do think about very often, and like, I loved Ottawa, loved playing there, loved Detroit. I wish I could have done that longer. And not in a COVID year, but I think back to Anaheim, and we were a good team. We didn't win. We should have won twice, I think. And I for sure once with the roster that we had, we just couldn't get past Detroit. But I like to think back about when I was younger. I guess you could call it prime. I don't know what the prime age is anymore at the NHL. It shifts so much.
Yeah, I think it's like 26 to 30 usually.
Yeah, and I think it's even 24 to 28 now, if you're asking me, when you're looking at guys north of 30 or aren't getting the contracts, unless you're Sid and those guys, et cetera. But I had those 4 years in Anaheim where I scored 30, which was great, but I stayed healthy. And I never had more fun going to the rink knowing, okay, you're healthy, you're capable of scoring 30, maybe 40, you could flirt with it. And when I look back at the entire snippet of my career, those were the most fun times. I loved our group. It was a bit of an older group, but a tight group. And if I could go back to any days during my league, it would be those days for sure.
Yeah, I mean, those teams were so nasty for me as a kid watching growing up. I actually remember where I was when you scored that goal too. That double dangle. I don't know what we call it, but I was in my grandma's house in Boca watching that one. It was the same night the Rangers.
Of course, your grandma lives in Boca. Johnny.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. It was the same night the Rangers.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, he will hate both of us. Wait, where did you play like youth hockey growing up around? Did you play in South Jersey, or were you a little flyer, or what, junior flyer?
Both. My mom, remember, well, you wouldn't have even been born yet. So my mom started.
I'm in 89. What are you, in 87? Okay.
So you would have been born. I'm sorry. I thought you were a little younger than that. When I was 4, my mom took the job at Pennsauken, Twin Rinks.
Yeah.
So I was there as a Thunderbird. Then I was a Mercer Chief for about half a year.
Chris Barkas still runs that program.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
He still runs that program. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. They had a Squirt AAA team that I was on that was good, but I didn't necessarily enjoy not playing hitting. So I moved up to Pee Wee halfway through the year and went back to Pee Wee AA as opposed to Squirt AAA just to play the physicality stuff. And then I was a little flyer for a couple years. But obviously with my family history, I was gone pretty quickly out to LA for the Junior Kings. So, yeah, I didn't have much, not much. Like I never was a Rocket, or now is it the Titans, I think, or
I was,
Devil.
I was a Titan.
Okay. Yeah.
I was an a Titan for 2 years, and then the rest of it, I was a junior flyer for most. But I got out of the area when I was 15. So
well, you have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to.
You're not staying in our area and making it anywhere.
No,
Bob,
that area to me is. Sorry,
you skipped over one team.
Who?
Tor. Weren't you a roller guy?
Oh, I was a big roller guy. Yeah, yeah. I haven't put the rollerblades on him since the NHL lockout, where I went and played. I played a pro roller tournament in Vegas during the NHL lockout. Yeah, and
no shit.
June 1st, I'm playing in a tournament down, or I don't know, a celebrity type game down here. So I have a pair of rollerblades that have been in the box since COVID. I'm going to go dust them off this week just to see if I can still do it. But yeah,
that's sick. I was actually wondering. I know, I was a big roller guy growing up. I still love roller. I play roller all summer.
Nice.
I know Pat Maroon caught a lot of chirps for playing roller. I was wondering if you were in that same boat. There's that one clip of Kane or something like, go to your fucking roller hockey tournament.
Yeah, no. Pat catches shit because he played it. He still plays it every summer. The guys are working out and training, and Pat actually, I will say this. I've known Pat since 370. He works his ass off, but he takes his time and goes and plays roller with his buddies. And I respect that. But I put him away when I was 15 and focused just on hockey. But if I could have picked between the two, if there was pro roller hockey that was at the level of the NHL, I would have played roller all day long. I love it.
Bobby, you'll be happy to know I'm at Pennsauken every Sunday. I coach the Flyers Warriors team.
Okay.
And I'm a part of that program. And they haven't done since the day your mom and company opened that rink. It looks exactly the same. There's been
walk down 2 rinks on the side.
There's
one
been
arena, one shit.
When I tell you there hasn't been any upgrades, not only that, there used to be like a pro shop and stuff. None of that is even there anymore. It is as bare bones. It's almost like the new owner forgot that he owns it. There's a new guy that's been buying up rinks everywhere in this area, and it's like he forgot about it because man, it's bare bones. While the one in Voorhees, which I know came later, that one they put money into, but the Pennsauken one, I mean, you'd think that the owner forgot that he owns it. That's how it looks.
I have no trouble believing that. Once those other ones came online, and then the Flyers started practicing out of Voorhees, and have you ever seen the Flyers facility there?
Yeah.
No.
Oh my God. I went home a couple summers ago before going back to Ottawa, and I was lucky. I got to skate with the Flyers from the time I was 15, 16, 17 until I got drafted. Then it was Anaheim's property, but I skated with those guys, trained there all summer. Bobby Clark took incredible care of me as a young kid in the area, but it was good then. It was separated between the Flyers and the Phantoms. Once the Phantoms left, it went to Lehigh and they took over that area too. I remember going in and I was like, and I was coming from Anaheim, which was okay. Now they have that amazing practice rink. Ottawa's a little tough comparatively. And Detroit was incredible because it was brand new, but I could not believe what I was seeing for the Flyers practice facility. Like from one end of that whole building to the other on the backside is theirs. And they just continuously it was a professional athlete's playground. I was blown away.
Yeah.
How do I get here? How do I get here?
That's new, Bobby. That they just did that a couple of years ago, where they did that massive renovation in the back of Voorhees. That's probably new in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that tracks towards when I was there. It was probably brand new when I was there, but I was like blown away.
Yeah, and I'll say the Flyers were always good. Like as I got older and got to BU and stuff like that, they would let me, even though I was drafted elsewhere, they would let me skate with them in the summer and be a part of all the skill sessions and everything. They were always really gracious about that stuff to visit. Eric Tangrady was able to do it too. I think you guys might have crossed paths at some point, you and Tanger, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But the Flyers take care of their own, their own area guys. I love that about them. There's not many organizations that are as, I don't want to say invest in the community, but it's good to the players in that area for sure.
Yeah.
Bobby, I know we're kind of cutting close on time here. We don't want to hold you too long. You've been very gracious with your time. And we appreciate it. But I got a 2-parter just to finish it up for you.
Okay.
The first question I want to ask you is, you pay attention closely to the league right now. Is there one storyline that you think isn't getting enough attention? I know you're close to the Nashville Predators right now. You live there, and they're the hottest team in the league right now, and still it seems like they're not being taken fully seriously as a contender. That's, to me, like what I would say.
Yeah.
And then the second part is you called my Rangers the F word at All-Star break. And for those who don't understand what I'm saying, he said frauds. So I'm curious to think if you still think that about my New York Rangers.
Well, I'll answer that first. The storyline that I think is, and I shouldn't say, and I love the Nashville the way you talked about them. I'm here and close to them, so I see a lot of what's going on. They're hot. To me, they're just a team that loses in the first round every year, though. On it, like they've had an incredible year. They were supposed to be an afterthought. They've worked their way in. That the teams out west look like they're set. To me, there's not going to be any more fluctuation. Now it's just going to be who's playing who. So I do like that. But like they're going to get rewarded for their efforts, but with a Dallas or Vancouver, and that sucks. The storyline that I think is Dallas. Like they just kind of fly under the radar, but they're continuously they win. And they're deep. They got a little bit of flash up top, but it's a deep lineup. Like I like that squad a lot. And I'm sure at the level that you guys talk about the NHL, you probably talk about them a little more than
honestly, not as much as we should.
But they're unbelievable. Like, I watched them
like 6 or 7 guys with 20 goals.
Yeah.
Joe
Pavelski's 39, still putting pucks home.
That guy's nuts. Yeah. So that team to me is a great storyline that just kind of gets swept under the rug because of maybe where they are and the team. We out east don't see them as much. I'm on the central time zone, so I'm only an hour ahead from time to time with them. So I'll catch them. I love that team. And for the Rangers, I think that the fans, if anything, should be thanking me. I think they owe me a thank you because I called them that and they went on a 10-game heater right out of the break. So
I agreed with you
at the time.
I agreed with you. I commented on that clip and I was like, I want to be mad at Bobby, but he's kind of screaming facts.
Yeah, thank you.
It's the Rempe effect. That's why.
What's that?
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Guy plays 5 minutes. Stop it.
Yeah.
He's gonna be out of the lineup opening night of playoffs. Let's not go there, Johnny. We don't need to expose any more of your bad takes.
I wouldn't call them fraudulent. I still don't think they're a playoff team. And it's very easy to say that they're a regular season team. Obviously they are, but they've had some guys go missing or some guys not play up to the regular season level. And it's hard to play up to that level in the playoffs. Like it's from a point standpoint, but I just haven't seen enough grit and grind. And that's where the games are getting to now. They're still elevating. They're a dangerous team, but to me, they're not the team that's going to come out of the East. They're just
who is? Three-parter question now.
Yeah. For me, it's hard. It's hard to look at Florida and think that they're not the team to beat with how deep they are. They lost in Boston. That was a close one last night.
They haven't played well either. Like since Tarasenko came over, their record is like they've got like a losing record.
Yeah.
No, I'm just pointing. That's just a fact.
It's the Ottawa effect. Tarasenko came from that thinker of a room.
Tarasenko came, they have a losing record. That's all I'm saying.
I do believe that it's a good thing that they're having a little bit of adversity right now. Remember, Tampa had to lose by being swept, I think, by Columbus, to go ahead and do that. Florida's had a taste of what it takes to get through there. They don't bother me going through this right now because they'll turn it on for game 1 of playoffs and be ready. But to me, it's Florida. And I like the moves that Carolina made. I've been very, very stingent on Carolina. I haven't trusted them. Like everybody wanted to anoint them last year and say this is the year. But to me, they're just one of those teams in the playoffs that gets to the wild card through the first round or two and loses. But I do like them this year. It's exactly. But this might be like they look fucking good right now. So, those are my two teams, and I'm going to edge towards Florida. Like when I have to pick for my show, I'm taking Florida.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to plug your show too? I know you host Coming in Hot.
Yeah, I'll plug it. I don't know. We're called Coming in Hot. Watch if you want. I don't.
It's a good show. I've watched it. You know, I've seen your show a number of times. It's a good show. I mean, you guys get into it pretty good there. There's some good personalities on your show. I think you're the voice of reason, I think, but
yeah, those two go at it. Jason York and Brent Wallace, my co-hosts, and Wally's known for running a pretty tight ship. He's very organized, whereas Yorkie and I are like, well, people want to hear stories and other stuff too. So we have fun. We're on all the streaming podcasts, and if you got some time, give us a listen. I think we're Monday, Tuesday, Thursday right now, and kind of time convenient for all of us.
Well, thank you, Bobby. Seriously, we really appreciate your time, and
it's good to meet you. I know it's just on the computer, but again, I'm like, you cross paths with so many random guys throughout your career, even guys whether it's at a wedding or a bachelor party or whatever, and like we're not that far off in age, and I'm always like, everyone's like, yeah, Bobby Ryan, like he's from Cherry Hill, and I'm like, no, somehow we've literally never once crossed paths.
It's kind of crazy, yeah, especially because like I'm not back there very often anymore. I'm kind of I'm down south, and I was out west for most of my career in Idaho, but it is fun. Like you talk about Sanguinetti's another one who
Bobby Sanguinetti,
did you know him at all? Like
I played with Bobby.
Okay.
Bobby Sanguinetti. We played on the Quebec team together one year.
Okay.
And Luke Popko, Chris Atkinson. I don't know if you remember those guys from back in the day.
Yeah.
Someone in our chat.
I feel like I'm listening to a conversation at a bar right now.
Somebody in our chat actually said, I forget who it was. I think it might have been Carousel Vertigo, said that he was a Rocket growing up. So
unreal.
That's it's funny to hear these names and talk about those things. Yeah. Sanguinetti was a good player.
Yeah, he was. He just he got the injury bug a little bit too, and now he called it pretty early, but he's coaching in the A, I think. Last I talked to him, so
he had a good run in Europe too. Like played in some really good leagues over there, put up some good numbers. So he played.
Yeah, he's a good player.
All right, Bobby. Yeah, we'll let you go. Colby will get your autograph after, and we hope you get your sheep. All right, go get that sheep that you want.
Sounds good. Pleasure meeting both you guys. I'll see you soon.
All right,
thanks, Bobby.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Recon Gamer finally sides with you, Johnny, and he says Johnny's officially better than Colby after the Rempe take. You know what? Listen, I'm not. I just
look at you fanboying over Bobby over here. You chirp me all the time for being a big fan of the guys. You were kind of damn, dude.
Well, it's like I said, it's crazy that I've never had an opportunity to meet him.
I've never seen you like this though.
Or cross paths with him. So
your whole mood from the beginning of the show to now has just gone full.
Well, it's interesting. Listen, Bobby Ryan has his career was not just this smooth, like I'm second overall. Like he had to like go through the peaks and the valleys and have a kind of work through it. So I
He's
always
still open and honest about it too. Like that's why I love listening to him.
I agree. Like I have a lot of respect for him. And the things that he did. Just to clarify, by the way, Recon Gamer, I give Johnny a lot of shit about these types of takes. Of course, Rempe didn't play in the third period yesterday, and I saw that clip on social media of him going in, not even looking for the puck, catches an edge. I mean, that was kind of funny. You got to admit it. But like my question for you, Recon Gamer, and really for any Rangers fan is like, you got in the playoffs when things get really tight and really fast. Like, is he making enough of a difference in 5 minutes to play in the playoffs every night? I think he'll play a little, but I don't see him as an every night guy in the playoffs. I don't. And I'm not trying to be a hater, but I just don't.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think last night's game was a little bit different. Even Laviolette said in the post game, like they were chasing the game, right? The Rangers were down. They obviously come out in the third and scored those 2 quick goals to take the lead, but that game was very back and forth. I thought Rempe could have gotten a shift here and there in the third.
You did?
His line, well, dude, his line, like Jimmy Vesey sends one around the boards, Konechny comes down on a 2-on-1, they score, tie the game.
But here's the thing, though, Jimmy Vesey's not going to get overwhelmed with skill and speed like Rempe might.
Of course. But I think, we'll see when the playoffs get here how he adjusts. I think
Messin Gretz says Rempe won't play in the playoffs, maybe a fill-in. Like, I agree. I don't see him as an every night guy in the playoffs, especially depending on who you play and who you match up against. So anyways, good job getting Bobby Ryan. That was a good interview. He's was funny to see his tweets and kind of bring that in.
Wait, what is this? What is this comment from Neil Fody? I didn't see any towel snaps from Colby like Johnny does. I don't know what does that mean?
Well, he's making fun of you, towel
Oh.
snaps, like smacking a guy in the ass and with the towel in the shower. Like he's making fun of you.
He's making fun. I thought he was making fun of you. Damn.
I can guarantee you Rempe's in for playoffs. All right, Recon Gamer. We'll see. I think maybe opening night, but then like I said, I don't see him playing every game. So we'll see. It depends on who they play. It depends on who the matchup is. Depends on who's the other team's lineup. Might be a situation where he's out for warmups for every game, but they see who other teams are putting in. Look, one thing from that game I want to address, Johnny, because you kind of put some thoughts into that game.
Yeah.
And then I think we'll move on to our Betway bet of the day and our preview for this evening. I want to know why John Tortorella, and this is in the chat, and I wanted to talk about this anyway. Why is he not starting like Tippett and Frost in overtime and his good skilled players? He's 3 times in a row put out a defensive-minded group with Noah Cates to start overtime, and they've lost every time. Now, granted, the Flyers are going to have a hard time matching up
when you look at the personnel of the two teams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if it gets past one shift, you're in trouble. But 3 overtimes in a row, they lose the draw, they never get possession, and they never get an opportunity. And look, that was a big 2 points. They got a point against the Rangers, but it would have been a big 2 points for them to win. It really would have, and they played really well for 2 periods. So I don't like that move by John Tortorella, and then I don't like that he doesn't go and see the media after that. He sends Brad Shaw out.
He heard our show. He was afraid of me.
He was afraid of Johnny. Exactly.
Afraid of me.
Johnny, you probably would have been, giving him pats on the butt behind.
I would have asked the exact same question I asked. I thought it was a good question. It
was a good question. I will. You took Frank's advice yesterday, and I think that you did ask a good question with that. So let's switch gears to tonight. I know we went a little long early. We didn't really talk about the games last night.
There were so many good games last night. I just want to say one thing though. I gotta give Devils fans a little bit of shit just because 3 days ago, 4 days ago, a week ago, whatever it was, Devils fans were giving up on the season. Jake Allen has stepped in. He's played really well for them. They've won a couple of games. Last night I had Devil fans I mentioned like saying, please beat them in regulation. Like we still have our hopes alive. And then what happens in the Eastern Conference playoff picture? The Flyers get a point, the Capitals get 2 points, and the Red Wings get a point. So the Devils have been given what?
Jeremiah is one happy guy this morning based on that result from the Washington Capitals game. And hey, listen, my buddy Dylan Strome, good for him. I love to see Dylan Strome. I love to see him having a good year. He's a really good guy. I got to know him in Chicago. He's got a great family. His wife is sweet. He's got golden retrievers. He's got 2 beautiful little children. So I love seeing Dylan Strome succeed. He is a good human being. Catherine Craig is chiming in the chat about Nashville. I got to be honest with the Nashville game. At 4-2, I was like, all right, I'm going to watch a different game. This game's over. So I got to get eyes on a different game. And then I see the result this morning, and I'm like, no way Nashville came back. I'm starting to, if we had power rankings, Nashville's in the 5 easily.
Yeah, no shit, dude. No shit. I can't believe you kept them out last time.
I did. I kept them out, and I have not given them the proper amount of love or credit. So,
well, Jeremiah asked if I asked Torts a question, and Torts was not available in the post game, like we just said. Brad Shaw was, so I didn't get the chance to ask him, which was a bummer. But they're coming back in 2 weeks, so we'll get redemption then.
Okay,
and honestly, it'll be a better time. We'll know more about the playoff picture and stuff. Yeah. So.
All right, so let's get to our Betway bet of the day, Johnny. One of our favorite parts of the show because it gives us an opportunity to give everybody and anybody a little bit of a hard time. And you can remember here with Betway, you get a free bet up to $200. If your bet loses, that is. So they'll reimburse you for the first 200. All you got to do is create a new account. We've got a QR code on the screen. You scan it, you get your account in, and on your first bet, if it loses, they're going to immediately put $200 back into your account. Okay. You then take that money and you try to double down. You try to go for the parlay. I keep telling everybody every day, take the free 200, put an insane parlay together, make it the odds so bad that you could, or so good that you could win $7,000 to $10,000. All right. And then if you lose, they're just going to give you your $200 back. Like, I think it's a free opportunity to win a shit ton of money. And that's why I love this offer from Betway. Okay. And this offer is only available outside of Ontario. Sorry, Vic. You can't use it because you live in Ontario. But get involved here because we don't know when this is going to change. Betway will let us know when they're pulling this this free $200 bet. So let's make sure that we take advantage of it. Okay. And tonight, our Betway bet of the day that we are going with is, I think we're going with Tampa on the money line. Minus 115. So, you know, it kind of is what it is. They're at home. They need this game more than the Boston Bruins need this game. But the Boston Bruins are on a second half of a back-to-back, right? So you're getting them a little bit tired. An emotional comeback win for them in Florida last night. Tampa Bay's been hotter than hell, won 6 of 7. Vasi looks good.
And they're going to catch the Leafs.
They're creeping up. They really are creeping up. I mean, the Leafs did not look like a serious hockey team last night. Sheldon Keefe absolutely ripped through his top players. I love the new Sheldon Keefe, by the way, the guy who doesn't have Kyle Dubas looking over his shoulder anytime he says something about the core four. So I absolutely love that. So there's our Betway bet of the day. We are so appreciative of our sponsors, whether it's Tim Hortons, whether it's Betway. We wouldn't be able to do this without your guys' support. So keep the offers coming. I know I didn't get a chance to ask Johnny if he played for the 10,000 yet for Tim Hortons, but we'll save that for another day. Maybe tomorrow, Johnny, even though I'll be on the road. I'll be doing the show tomorrow, but I'll be on the road. So that's all I got for today. Johnny, you want the last word, bud?
No, I think you should probably close your mouth for the rest of the day. You've said a lot here this morning. Take some time off. Recover your vocal cords.
I've got a 4-hour ride today, so I'll probably just.
But you also got to talk all weekend on TV.
I'll probably find a good episode of Joe Rogan because those can be 2 to 3 hours, and I'll just cruise my way on up, and I'll get situated in Providence.
I actually do want to say one thing. You got a shout out because of Jeremiah yesterday on Spit and Chicklets. Grinnell was talking about Ovechkin's stick change. So I want to shout out to Jeremiah for bringing that up. And I need to learn more about that still. So
what do you mean? I don't wait. Sorry. I got a shout out.
Grinnelli on Chiclet said he was listening to Colby Cohen's show. Totally disrespected me. He didn't even say my name. Listening to Colby Cohen's show. And
I love that. Especially because you guys are boys.
I know. Yeah. And Colby mentioned that Ovechkin changed his stick specs and that had something to do with the scoring. But that wouldn't have been brought up without Jeremiah because Jeremiah has been preaching that now for months, I think, right? I've seen Jeremiah talk about that. So
Jeremiah has been banging that drum for a while. And so he gets the credit on that, not me. So maybe we need to send in a note to G and get the record struck properly because that's all Jeremiah.
1,000%. And yeah, that's all I really got. Tomorrow's going to be, a shorter episode. Colby's got a really busy weekend with the regionals and the NCAA tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of college hockey coming up this weekend. So we're pumped for it. It all starts tomorrow. Big thank you to Bobby Ryan for joining the show. Great to hear from him. Great to talk to him and great for you guys to meet face-to-face over the computer. Spark a new friendship, just like you and Frank Vetrano. That's what we do on the show. We get Colby new friends. But yeah, thanks, Vic. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe